Welcome back to another review. It's not Kool-Aid, but might as well be, seeing as how today we're looking at The Sacrament. It was an okay movie. I guess I've seen worse. I've certainly seen better from Ty West. Cabin Fever 2 was good. Innkeepers was kinda boring. Ty West is a unique filmmaker. He's really good at doing horror. But The Sacrament, I'm not going to say it's his worst film to date, but certainly not overly good. For those of you who don't know what The Sacrament is about, it's a found footage film with this film crew that goes to this gated community in, I want to say Guyana, I don't really know, to find this guy's sister, and she's kind of got involved with this cult led by this guy. They all call him Father. The movie's basically fucking about Jonestown. I'm sorry, it's fucking Jonestown. That's where this film isn't effective, but I'll get to that later. Where this movie is effective, it's good at building a tone. It's really eerie, like how gated and close this community is, like how there's people guarding the gate with machine guns, how no one really wants to talk to them, but the people that do talk to them, all they say is, oh, this guy helped us out. Like, there's no racism here, there's no technology, it's just people living. It's just people getting back to Earth. And that's where the film is good. It's good at building that specific tone. There's better things on Jonestown to watch than this movie, and that's why I think this movie doesn't work, is because it's about Jonestown. There's a lot of good, real documentaries on Jonestown, specifically one called Jonestown, The Life and Death of People's Temple, because you can't get, no matter what you put on film, you can't get anything more disturbing than the actual Jonestown story and the actual footage. In this film, they do actually touch on the fact that it wasn't really a mass suicide, that those who didn't drink the poisoned Kool-Aid were either gunned down or injected against their will with cyanide. But the leader of the cult in this totally jumps the gun on poisoning everyone. All that's happening is he's being questioned by this one little rinky-dink documentary crew, like newspaper. In the real story, Jones had every right to do what he did. I'm not saying he was right killing all those people, but I mean, yeah, Jonestown was going to end. People realized something majorly wrong was going on. Like, he sent his people who were covering the compound to kill some senators or something who were leaving. That is when you do kill all your followers and basically push the eject button on your cult. But in this, he just jumps the gun so fucking soon. I have no idea why he's like, oh my god, these newspaper guys are questioning me. We all have to die. In the movie, he's like, oh, they're gonna go back to the world and tell our story and make lies about us. But it just, no. One newspaper can tell a story and won't do shit. Like, that's the thing that bugs me about this movie. That, and it's a found footage movie that takes place in the present. Okay, Jonestown is a stupid thing to make a movie about because there's real footage that get the story across perfectly, but don't make it current. Make it actually take place in Jonestown. Like Guyana, Cult of the Damned or something. It's just so fucking stupid why they did this. This is okay found footage, like, they only use like 2 cameras. They tell you where the cameras come from, but the camera angles themselves kind of throw me off, because you always know that the other guy is carrying it, but some of the angles don't quite make sense as where he's holding them. I don't know, maybe they could have had it both found footage and some of it not found footage, because that way they could have shown you more backstory into Father. They could have shown some, like, backstory on how a cult was formed. stuff like that. Like, there's so much good backstory here. It's never even touched on because it's a found footage film. And that's what bothers me about this film so much as well, is that. Like, it's just so frustrating. I really want to like this movie. I want it to be a really fucking good found footage film, but it's not. It's lackluster. If you want to watch a good cult movie, I don't know. I would just watch the actual documentary, because the actual documentary is really good. Praises for this movie I can give it. There's really good practical effects. Like, there's this one scene where this girl lights herself on fire, and she's actually on fire. Like, it's probably a guy in a suit, but it's not fucking digital fire. I don't know, like I said, the acting, the mood they're setting, the guy who plays father is really good. It's just story-wise, it's not that good. There's better examples of this out there. I don't know, and this kind of bothers me. You don't feel the death toll at all. Like, there can't be any more than fucking 100, 200 people at Eden Parish, but in Jonestown there was over like 900 people killed. The scales there are kinda meh. And the fact that they don't call it Jonestown when it is clearly Jonestown bugs me so much. It's even worse than in Guyana, Cult of the Damned, when they fucking called it Johnson Town or something. Jim Johnson. It's just so frustrating and stupid. The story, the way it's handled in this, it's just frustrating. Alright, so we are back. The sun in there was too bad. Pretty much anywhere where I shoot there's going to be some kind of distraction, so I'm just going to shoot this and upload it. But the Sacrament, as I was saying, it doesn't work because there's good Jonestown documentaries out there. That's why it doesn't work. And the fact that they're dancing around the idea that this is Jonestown. It's fucking Jonestown. I'm sorry, there's no other cult that I can think of that worked like this, that convinced its followers to sell off their belongings and move to some fucking tropical area to start their own village. This is fucking Jonestown. I wish they'd call it Jonestown. But anyway, another few things this film does good is it hints and sort of shows the backstory of the real Jonestown, like how they all had to sell off their belongings, how he convinced people to go because he was appealing to these different parts of these different groups. Like, oh, if you're old and you lost your family, we're your new family. If you're black or whatever and you're not accepted, we will accept you. There's no racism here. If you're like a teenager or college student, oh, you belong, you have really good ideas. Stuff like that. It hints at that, and this is where the film succeeds. One of the parts where I find this film misses out is the backstory of the leader itself, because it's been a while since I've seen the documentary. Jim Jones was a very complicated and psychotic individual. He may have had decent intentions starting out, but at the end of it, he was batshit insane. Like, he was a hardcore drug user at the end, like coke, heroin, stuff like that. He would sleep with multiple followers. No one else in Jonestown was allowed to have sex other than him. Just fucked up shit. And this film doesn't really hint at it. It's kind of like a background sort of thing almost. Like, the sister of the guy that told the documentary crew to go there, I guess she's sleeping with father. At the end, when the documentary crew confronts father, well, one of them confronts father. He has the other one tied up. You see like this giant fucking mountain of cocaine on like a barrel next to him. stuff like that. Like, it hints, but it's because it's a found footage film. It can't actually explore this guy, this leader, and him coming apart at the seams. That's why I think this film feels rushed. Like, the ending feels so rushed. They go there, it establishes the mood of the film so great, then the last 20 minutes is them leaving, Jones getting his followers to take the cyanide, and then him sending his top few people with like the machine guns to go kill the pilot and the documentary guy. Like, it feels so fucking rushed. Because it's found footage, it doesn't have time to establish any of this other stuff. Like, maybe that's supposed to work in his favor, the fact that you're thrown into this foreign world that you don't really know what's going on, but it doesn't. When I watch a film about a cult, I want to know the background of the cult. That is why The Following is an interesting show, with all of its flaws. That is why the Jonestown documentary itself is such a good documentary, because it talks about the way the followers saw this, the way the outside world saw this, why the followers joined. All of that, it works so efficiently. I highly suggest that you check out that documentary. I'm going to like it in my YouTube page so you guys can follow the link and do whatever and watch it. I suggest you watch it. In all honesty, it is extremely good. My next movie, I do believe, will be Transformers: Dark Side of the Moon, and for that I'll have a friend help me with that one. Well, not help me, but I'll be doing a double review of that. If I see anything else interesting on video on demand, I'll toss up a quick review of that, but otherwise expect to see a review sometime later on next week. See ya.